Greetings and welcome. My name is Michael Miller. This is a Michael Miller trademark training video out to you because you're watching. Thank you and welcome. It's meant for Michael Miller Pilates licensed affiliates, presenters, the Core New Core, my patrons, and anyone interested in surviving and thriving as a Pilates instructor, student, or a human being. I'm including human being now because you may only care about core new tension, or you may not care about any other point of view of Pilates than the one you already have, or you just may have already experienced Pilates and you have no interest in it. But as a human being, really pick up on core new tension. Two titles in my broadcast today. Mat class tonight is one, and standing up on the bottom is two. I love that. Those words came to me. Standing up on the bottom. So number one, today's March 10th, 2020, and it's windy out. I've set up a mat class over a virtual mat class over the web. Somebody called it virtual. It's a friend of mine. I would just call it live, but not in person, right? Because it's not all virtual. There's me as a human being there live, which is a key part about this thing about doing classes or webinars, is that you schedule that, and that takes me into one of my comments about my mat class tonight. What I've learned by heading in this direction and exploring this way of teaching over the web, it made me appreciate how the technology that can do that is woven into scheduling and can automatically place the event in your schedule if you're planning it, or in somebody else's schedule if they want to attend it. And by schedule I mean Google or Yahoo or Hotmail, right? And a lot of people use those calendars for their scheduling. And here I am broadcasting, enjoying the ease of recording when it suited me. And I thank you for coming later to watch the recording if you have. And if you're there live, that would surprise me altogether. So in terms of my mat class tonight, what I would have you notice that I've learned from that is how you schedule the event, and then it's easily plugged into whatever calendar you're running. If you're running a calendar on Google or Yahoo or any ISO or ICO file, a scheduling file. And then number two, standing up on the bottom. Standing up on the bottom. I hope that you hear enough from me to be able to find the bottom beneath you and stand up if you want to. Or just know that you can if you want to. And by bottom I mean through the point of view of Michael Miller Pilates. Pilates has an essence of its own. It has a foundation beneath the water. And in my analogy, water is folklore, where there is no bottom, and it's all unexplainable. It's principles and aristocracy and those closest to Joe and most presumptuous in their ascendancy within the aristocracy as an authority That all started out with presumption. When you comprehend what I'm sharing with you, which is about core new tension, that you can actually make core new tension in your body, it's a fact of the biomechanics of your body. My opinion, this point of view, acknowledges that this is how the body engages itself to move through space. I know there's other points of view out there, but to me, this one has never lost its own brilliance and its own eminence and sense that it makes to me, both sensationally and intellectually. But to get from here, where none of this is considered, to at least going up halfway to core new tension, to getting an acknowledgement of rotation at the hips as a fundamental capability of the human being. They make rotational dynamic here. And that the core is a grip at the hips. That's the condition referred to when you talk about the core. It's not a location. It's the ability to enable or make and intensify or deepen a grip. A spiral inward across the width of your body is a grip. And so when it comes to standing up on the bottom, you at least have to be willing to imagine or acknowledge that we have rotational dynamic at the hip. And that then takes you to core new tension, because from one rotation to connecting two rotations, when you have oppositional rotation between two axes of rotation, in the body, it distributes the load of the body more evenly because it engages the body's muscles more uniformly. Therefore, making you as light in space as you possibly can be, given that you're a water bag trying to walk on land, as though you have no weight at all. When you're really heavy on planet Earth, and even in space, to me, the biomechanics of this are just how the body has evolved. I mean, this life form evolved into this, and we evolved into us. And these rotational dynamics are at play in the body. And nobody else wants to look at that. Nobody else wants to acknowledge that or consider that it matters, let alone recognizing how much it matters. So, here I am trying to share with you two things that are both sensational. The first one is the ability to make oppositional rotation between the axes, and that's sensational. And from that, you get more uniform engagement of your musculature. Contrology develops the body uniformly. Uniform engagement of the musculature. I just had a phone call and declined it. And a sensation of alignment between the 2 points, between these 2 points, or between these 2 points. It's pretty tough, knees to ankles to metatarsals, to get expansion because there are bones connecting the joints, whereas between here and between here is just the spine. And the musculature doing what it does, and the more rigid portions in our body, our skeleton, supporting What? I would say the ability to move, or you're moving. Because Pilates is moving, and doing Pilates is moving. Because when the moving is happening, you're listening to your body, your mind, and you're observing. You're coordinating those three things in your moving, meaning that the observing and the thinking and the body is all attuned to and coordinating with the effort in the movement. And that there is purpose and direction and aspiration in the performance. Toward the ideal, of course, or toward as real as you can get in trying to move as ideally as you can. Because the reality that we find ourselves in has very ideal characteristics, like three-dimensional space, like gravity, like a straight line between points, like rotation, like oppositional rotation between axes. You see this expression of energy in galaxies and in tsunamis, hurricanes, big cloud formations. So in embracing in core new tension, you're embracing the way the body, your body, is built to engage itself. And does, whether you know it or not, and whether it's however restricted it is. From the MMP point of view, fundamentally, the human being has this kind of body dynamics going on. And in engaging in the tension between endpoints, you distribute the load more uniformly, and you make alignment sensational between the points. And especially when you're standing up straight, and making these oppositional rotations, it creates tension. And from that tension, a sensation of alignment. I captured in my workshop, in my class description. Something is vilified, and then something is ignored, and then something is accepted as obvious. And so, whatever stage you're in, the obvious that you come to, in my opinion, is the acknowledgement that, yeah, the body does this, and yeah, I can feel a difference in the way I engage my body, because when I engage my body in core new tension, like with soft knees and endpoints at the metatarsals, I'm doing a better job of distributing the load of my body throughout my whole body. Contrology develops the body uniformly. If that's your target, just take it as a point of view and as an opinion. You don't have to take it as a fact. To at least explore your imagination engaging in yourself in oppositional rotation between axes. And then, just like core new tension was, Michael-Miller-Pilates is a sensation. It's an experience, actually. It's the complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit as a state of being in the body in the moment of the doing. I know that's a very narrow view, and there's your view and my view and everybody else's view. MMP is a theory that Pilates has an essence of its own. And that theory is based on the evidence in Joe's book. His definition, contrology, is complete coordination of body, mind, and spirit. Very next paragraph, beginning of the paragraph. Contrology develops the body uniformly. And then number 3, the sequence, because it's in the sequence that is the mat. It's in the sequence that there's movement that has structure. And it's in recognizing the structure that it empowers you to pick what's next for your own workout or somebody else's, knowing that you're trying to resonate with that structure, because to the extent that you resonate with the mat choreography that's already there, you're not only doing that, the original work, but you're acknowledging from the original work the reality in which it was choreographed to prepare for. Both in like 3 dimensions, that it's pretty easy to get a handle on that, and that stays pretty consistent. But time always flows along, and things change. Got to look around and I talk a lot about the merry-go-round going by. I'm sitting here with you, I'm standing here with you, sitting, and hearing me talk, and you're listening to what's going by. And I'm listening to it too with you. Trying to point out what's going by that I'm talking about. Right? But right up front, I tell you that, I'm telling you now too, that I repeat my message so that it'll go by again. Right? Because every time it goes by, it's like bringing a level of foundation up underneath you. Still haven't figured out that image quite right. But if you're swimming in water, right? Maybe it's that I bring you closer to the shore so that the bottom ends up, so that you end up establishing contact with the bottom. How did I say it? Standing up on the bottom. Because MMP it comes from a theory and pursues an ideal and is grounded here, right? So maybe this whole process of helping you stand up on the bottom, here is the bottom I'm referring to, I guess, because that's what MMP is built on. And when you get what MMP is and how it's just putting you right in touch with and giving you a foundational connection to Pilates, intellectually and sensationally, experientially, existentially, if you want to talk that way. But it's the standing up on the bottom. For one thing, understanding about core new tension, nobody else is going to show that to you in a book. And nobody had already gone to college and teaching for years and years, for some reason, it just isn't considered. And to me, it's there obvious. Because it's there sensationally, not only in my own body, but in a number of years instructing other humans. So mat class tonight, same time as I taught for over a decade, going live, doing it's structured in a webinar, so I'm learning and getting familiar with the whole educational platform of Zoom, which is a popular tech company right now because of its video conferencing capabilities. At a time when humanity is withdrawing from in-person interaction because of a pandemic threat. We talked yesterday about surviving and how important that is. And so much of where I think technology is going is individuals, and is already there, surviving and thriving within the technology that allows them to do so at an individual level and their own business level. Right? So, I talked with someone yesterday who has their own business online, right? And I see how much of the world and its monetization of its efforts to monetize their passion are doing what they do, and it's fascinating to see, and in some ways seems so far beyond me, or needing a vehicle if there's no demand for the passenger. Yet here you are listening to me, learning about two sensations. The biomechanics of core new tension, and that applies to every body, every human being. It's just this biomechanics is the way the body has evolved to engage itself to move through space. I mean, if you got something better than that, please do. And if you have some abstract theory of tensegrity, well, maybe abstract and all, but I think the target of both what you would try to construct in a tensegric way, and I know cells have tensegric energy within them. I'm just pointing to an obvious way that we're built as a human being, and that in that obvious way all we can do is help the body do what it has evolved into the capability of doing. But teaching a mat class and doing it live but not in person, I think that's the future for you and me and everybody. So if you don't have my, if depending on when you listen to this, send me your email or sign up at michaelmillerpilates.com, all one word, michaelmillerpilates.com. And there's a place to sign up on the list. All right, so I may have found a platform upon which to monetize my effort, but that effort is in a structure of a timed event. Now maybe I'll find out I can just let loose a webinar on the cuff, on the moment, when it suits me, rather than announcing it. But the announcing it and the capability of integrating into people's calendars, when it comes down to organizing human beings and grouping them together at a particular time, this is 2020, right? All right, so life can't live forever. Who knew I was going to make it to 2020? Read between the lines, see behind the curtain, connect the dots, add 2 and 2. After you evaluate points of view, direct your thinking, and Geist